The message came on a Tuesday morning. All across Earth, screens flickered with the same image. A tall, blue-skinned being with 4 eyes and a formal-looking uniform. People stopped in the streets, in their homes, and at work. For the first time in human history, an alien race had made contact. "People of Earth," the being said in perfect English, "I am High Commissioner Xeltor of the Galactic Zarnian Empire. We have watched your progress with great interest. The time has come to welcome you into the galactic community." In Washington, D.C., President Laura Bennett called an emergency meeting. Within hours, the world's top leaders, scientists, and military officers gathered to form a response team. "We need our best people on this," President Bennett said, looking around the room. "Ambassador William Clark, you'll lead the diplomatic team." William Clark was 62, with gray hair and calm blue eyes. He had settled conflicts between nations for 30 years. Now he would represent all of humanity. "Dr. Susan Miller, you'll handle communications," the president continued. Susan Miller, 45, was the world's leading expert in language patterns. She had created systems that could learn any human language in days. Now she would face her biggest challenge. "And Captain George Winters will lead security." Winters stood tall in his uniform, his face serious. At 38, he had already become one of Earth's most respected military minds. 3 days later, a small Zarnian ship landed at the newly built First Contact facility in neutral Switzerland. High Commissioner Xeltor stepped out with 4 other aliens. They towered over the humans, standing nearly 8 feet tall. "Welcome to Earth," Ambassador Clark said, extending his hand. Xeltor looked at the hand with his 4 yellow eyes before slowly reaching out his 3-fingered hand. "We are pleased to finally meet you in person," the alien said. "Your species has shown remarkable progress for being so young." Dr. Miller noticed the slight tone in his voice. It reminded her of how adults sometimes talk to clever children. The Zarnians requested talks to begin immediately. Their empire, they explained, included over 300 star systems and thousands of planets. Earth would benefit greatly from their protection and technology. "We can offer medical advances that would extend your lives by centuries," Xeltor said during the first meeting. "Your people would no longer know disease." Clark smiled politely. "That's a generous offer. What would you expect in return?" "Very little," Xeltor said. "Some resources, cooperation with our existing systems, and perhaps your unique human perspective on certain matters." Later that night, Clark met with Miller and Winters in a secure room. "They're hiding something," Miller said. "I've been analyzing their language patterns. There are inconsistencies when they discuss what they want from us." Winters nodded. "Their ship is heavily armed for a diplomatic vessel, and our satellites have detected 3 larger ships hiding behind Mars." Clark looked out the window at the night sky. "We'll proceed carefully. Earth has waited thousands of years to meet aliens. We can take our time to make sure we get this right." What none of them knew was that Dr. Miller's assistant had already found a way to access the Zarnians' private communications. As they spoke, he rushed toward their meeting room with a tablet full of translated alien messages. The messages revealed the truth. The mighty Zarnian Empire wasn't here to welcome a new friend. They were desperate for new resources and soldiers for their failing war against the Veltrax Confederation. And they saw humans as the perfect solution. Strong, adaptable, and easy to manipulate. When the assistant burst into the room, the 3 leaders read the translations with growing concern. The final message from Xeltor to his homeworld was clear. "The humans suspect nothing. They will serve the Empire well, whether they wish to or not." Clark's face hardened. "It seems our new friends aren't being honest with us. Let's see how tomorrow's talks go when we know what they're really after." As night fell over Earth, humanity slept unaware that their first step into the galactic community would soon become a test of their courage and independence. The second week of talks took place on a space station orbiting Mars. The Zarnians had built it in just 3 days, showing off their advanced technology. The station had Earth-like gravity and air, but the walls glowed with strange blue light. Ambassador Clark sat at the large round table, watching High Commissioner Xeltor carefully. Dr. Miller sat beside him, a small device hidden in her ear translating the alien's private whispers. Captain Winters stood by the door, his face calm but his eyes always moving. "We are prepared to share our medical technology," Xeltor said, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. "Your people could live 200 years or more." "That's very generous," Clark replied with a practiced smile. "And what exactly do you need from Earth in return?" The alien made a gesture that might have been a shrug. "Some of your unique minerals, and perhaps some of your people might wish to serve in our peacekeeping forces, on a volunteer basis, of course." Under the table, Dr. Miller passed Clark a note. "He's lying. Their word for volunteer is the same as conscript in their language." Clark nodded slightly. "How many volunteers were you thinking?" "A modest number. Perhaps 5 million to start." The human team hid their shock well. 5 million soldiers was not modest by any definition. That night, while the Zarnians thought the humans were sleeping, Dr. Miller worked with her team to hack deeper into the alien systems. What they found was disturbing. "They're losing a war," Miller told Clark and Winters in their secure room. "The Veltrax Confederation has beaten them in 12 straight battles. The Empire needs fresh troops badly." Winters pulled up images on his tablet. "And that's not all. We've detected Zarnian scout ships all over Earth. They're mapping our military bases, power plants, and major cities." Clark looked at the evidence silently for a long moment. "They see us as cannon fodder," he finally said, "and they're already planning how to take what they want if we say no." The next morning, Admiral Patricia Rogers arrived from Earth with important news. She was 54, with short gray hair and the confident walk of someone who had faced many storms. "The President has authorized Operation Shadow Shield," she told them quietly. "Every nation on Earth is mobilizing its forces, but keeping them hidden. If the Zarnians are watching, they'll only see normal activity." Clark nodded. "Good. We need time. The treaty they're proposing has hidden clauses. If we sign it, we're basically giving them legal right to take whatever they want from Earth." "What's our play here?" Winters asked. "We keep negotiating," Clark said. "Make them think we're close to agreement. Meanwhile, Dr. Miller will keep gathering information, and you'll work with Admiral Rogers to prepare our defenses." That afternoon, the talks continued. Xeltor presented more details about the wonderful benefits Earth would receive as part of the Empire. As he spoke, one of his assistants passed him a message. The alien's upper eyes widened slightly, the first sign of surprise the humans had seen. "Is something wrong, Commissioner?" Clark asked innocently. "Not at all," Xeltor said, quickly regaining his composure. "Just news from home." Later, they learned what the message contained. Earth's military satellites had detected and quietly disabled a cloaked Zarnian probe examining Earth's nuclear facilities. The aliens hadn't realized humans could detect their stealth technology. On day 14 of negotiations, Clark decided it was time to push back. During a discussion about resource sharing, he casually mentioned the disabled probe. "By the way, Commissioner, if you want to examine our defense systems, you only need to ask. There's no need for secret surveillance." All 4 of Xeltor's eyes locked onto Clark. "I don't know what you mean, Ambassador." "Of course you do," Clark said, still smiling. "Just as you know that your treaty would force us to provide troops for your war against the Veltrax." The room went silent. The Zarnians looked at each other, their skin changing slightly from blue to purple, their version of going pale. "It seems," Xeltor said slowly, "that we have underestimated you." Clark's smile disappeared. "Yes, that was your first mistake." Day 17 of negotiations began like any other. The human and Zarnian delegations entered the main conference room of the space station. The walls gleamed with that strange blue light that seemed to follow the aliens everywhere. Outside the large viewing window, Mars hung like a red jewel against the blackness of space. But something was different today. Ambassador William Clark wore a formal dark suit instead of his usual diplomatic uniform. Dr. Susan Miller and Captain George Winters were similarly dressed in Earth's most formal attire. Admiral Patricia Rogers had joined them at the table, her military medals gleaming under the lights. High Commissioner Xeltor noticed the change immediately. His 4 yellow eyes blinked rapidly as he took his seat. "You seem very formal today, Ambassador," the alien said. "Is there a human custom I should be aware of?" Clark smiled politely. "Today is an important day, Commissioner. We're ready to respond to your treaty proposal." The alien's skin brightened slightly, their version of a smile. "Excellent. I'm sure the Emperor will be pleased to welcome Earth into our family of worlds." "Before we begin," Clark said, "I'd like to confirm that this session is being broadcast live, as we requested." Xeltor nodded. "Yes. As strange as we find the request, we are honoring it. This meeting is being transmitted to both Earth and the Zarnian homeworld, with only the standard 3-minute delay." "Perfect." Clark pressed a button on the table in front of him. A holographic display appeared in the center of the room, showing the full text of the Zarnian Treaty. "Commissioner Xeltor, for the past 17 days, we have discussed this treaty in good faith. But today, we must address what hasn't been discussed." With another button press, certain sections of the treaty text began to glow red. "These are the hidden clauses in your treaty," Clark continued, his voice firm but calm. "Clauses that would allow you to take 5 million humans in the first year for military service. Clauses that give the Empire rights to any resources on Earth without limit. Clauses that would effectively end Earth's independence forever." The Zarnian delegation shifted uncomfortably. Xeltor's skin darkened to deep blue, a sign of anger or embarrassment. "These are standard protective measures," the alien said quickly. "For the benefit of both our peoples." Clark ignored him and kept speaking, knowing that billions of humans and Zarnians were watching. "We have also discovered your Empire's true situation. You're losing a war against the Veltrax Confederation. You've lost 12 major battles in the past 2 years. Your military is stretched thin across too many fronts." He pressed another button, and images appeared showing Zarnian scout ships secretly surveying Earth's military installations. "And while talking peace, you've been preparing for a possible invasion." Xeltor stood up, his tall frame looming over the table. "Ambassador Clark, these accusations are inappropriate for a public forum. Perhaps we should continue this discussion privately." "There will be no more private discussions," Clark said, also standing now. The entire human delegation rose with him. "The people of Earth deserve to know the truth about what you're offering." Clark looked directly into the camera that was broadcasting across the galaxy. "To the Zarnian Empire and its Emperor, humanity came to these talks in good faith. We hoped to find friends among the stars. Instead, we found an empire that sees us only as resources to be exploited and soldiers to be sacrificed." He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. "Therefore, as the authorized representative of Earth, I am ending these negotiations. Earth rejects the Zarnian Treaty in all its forms." Gasps came from the Zarnian side of the table. In 700 years of the Empire's history, no species had ever rejected them this way. "This is outrageous," Xeltor shouted, his voice echoing in the suddenly quiet room. "No one walks away from the Empire." Clark looked at him calmly. "We just did." Admiral Rogers stepped forward. "Our ships are ready to transport us back to Earth immediately." "If you leave," Xeltor warned, his voice low and dangerous, "there will be consequences. The Empire does not take rejection lightly." Clark gathered his notes slowly, deliberately. "Let me be clear, Commissioner. This is not a declaration of war. We still hope for peaceful relations with all galactic civilizations, including yours. But we will not be bullied, threatened, or deceived." He looked directly at Xeltor. "And if the Empire chooses conflict over respect, you should know that humans have a long history of standing against larger forces. We're quite good at it." The day after the walkout, Earth changed. Old enemies became allies. Borders that had divided nations for centuries suddenly meant little compared to the border around their entire planet. In Washington, D.C., Ambassador William Clark met with world leaders in the largest international gathering in human history. The room was packed with presidents, prime ministers, kings, and military commanders. "The Zarnians won't accept our rejection easily," Clark told them. "We have perhaps 3 months before they respond, maybe less." President Laura Bennett stood up. "Then we have 3 months to get ready. Every nation, every resource, every mind working together." Across the globe, factories that once made cars now built defense satellites. Scientists who had competed against each other now shared their research freely. For the first time in history, humanity moved as one. Admiral Patricia Rogers took command of Earth's United Defense Forces. Her headquarters was a new facility built deep inside Mount Rainier. "Our biggest advantage is that they underestimate us," she told her international team of officers. "They think we're primitive because we don't have their level of space travel, but we have technologies they don't expect." Captain George Winters led the training of spacecraft pilots. The world's best fighter pilots, drone operators, and even video game champions were recruited. "The Zarnians rely on predetermined attack patterns," he explained to his pilots. "They'd fought the same enemies for centuries. But humans are unpredictable. We need to use that." Meanwhile, Dr. Susan Miller made the most important breakthrough. In her lab beneath the Rocky Mountains, she studied the Zarnian technology they had observed during the negotiations. "Their shield technology has a flaw," she told Clark and Rogers during a secure meeting. "It can't adapt to rapidly changing frequencies. We can use that." Miller's team worked day and night to build new weapons based on this discovery. They also developed improved communication systems that the Zarnians couldn't intercept. "They think we're just copying their tech," Miller said with a smile. "But we're actually improving it." 64 days after the walkout, sensors detected Zarnian ships entering the solar system. It was a small fleet, 5 vessels approaching Earth in what they clearly thought was a show of force. In the command center, Admiral Rogers watched the ships approach on the large screen. "They're not attacking," she noted. "This is intimidation. They expect us to panic." Clark nodded. "They want us to see their power and come crawling back to the negotiation table." "Should we power up our defenses?" asked one of the officers. Rogers smiled. "No. Let them think we're helpless. Let's see how close they come." The Zarnian ships moved past the orbit of Jupiter, then Mars, growing bolder when they met no resistance. Their commander, Captain Valiner, sent a message to Earth. "People of Earth, the Empire has been patient. Now you will see our might. Return to talks, or face consequences." Rogers looked at Clark. "Should we respond?" "Not yet," Clark said. "Let them come a little closer." The Zarnian ships approached the moon, their weapons ready but not firing. They expected to see fear, perhaps a hasty message begging to restart negotiations. Instead, as they passed the lunar orbit, something unexpected happened. Their sensors suddenly stopped working. The ship's captains found themselves flying blind. "Now," Rogers ordered. Across Earth, hidden defense stations activated. A network of satellites that had been invisible to Zarnian scans powered up, and from a base on the far side of the moon, a squadron of small but fast ships launched, led by Captain Winters himself. The human ships didn't attack. They simply flew circles around the confused Zarnians, demonstrating speed and maneuverability that the aliens hadn't thought possible for primitive Earth technology. In his command ship, Captain Valiner watched in disbelief as the human vessels performed impossible turns, vanishing from one spot and appearing in another. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. "Their ships shouldn't be capable of such movement." His science officer had no answer. The technology the humans were using wasn't in any Imperial database. After 20 minutes of this humiliating display, the human ships pulled back. Earth's communication systems finally responded to the Zarnians. This is Admiral Patricia Rogers of Earth Defense. We had allowed you to witness a small demonstration of our capabilities. You are now in protected Earth space. You have 1 hour to leave our solar system. Val Lanier was furious. You dare threaten ships of the Empire. We could destroy your planet. Rogers' voice remained calm. You could try. But first, look at your ship's power levels. 6 months after the walkout, Earth continued to strengthen its defenses. New satellites formed a protective net around the planet. Underground factories produced weapons based on Dr. Miller's breakthroughs. Captain Winters trained more pilots every day. One quiet Tuesday morning, a strange signal reached Earth's new deep space listening posts. It didn't come from the direction of Zarnian space. It came from the opposite side of the galaxy. In the Mount Rainier Command Center, Ambassador Clark and Admiral Rogers listened to Dr. Miller's analysis. "It's definitely artificial," Miller said, pointing to patterns on her screen. "And it's using a frequency that cuts through normal space interference. Very advanced." "Zarnians?" Rogers asked. Miller shook her head. "No, the pattern is completely different. This is someone else." The message, when decoded, was simple. "We wish to speak with those who stood against the Empire. Meet us on your moon's dark side. Come in peace. We will do the same." It was signed, Veltrax Confederation. Clark looked at Rogers. "The Zarnians' enemies." "Could be a trap," Rogers said, always cautious. "Could be an opportunity," Clark countered. "We should meet them." 3 days later, a small human ship landed on the far side of the moon. Clark and Rogers stepped out wearing Earth's new spacesuits, much lighter and more flexible than the old ones. They stood beside their ship waiting. A sleek vessel appeared silently over the lunar horizon. It was beautiful, curved like a leaf, with a silver-green surface that seemed to flow like water. It landed softly 100 meters away. A tall figure emerged. Unlike the blue-skinned, four-eyed Zarnians, this alien was slender with golden skin that shimmered in the sunlight. It had 2 large eyes that glowed green and 4 slender arms. "Ambassador Clark." "Admiral Rogers." The alien's voice came through their helmet communicators. "I am Representative Kala Nim of the Veltrax Confederation. Thank you for agreeing to meet." "How do you know our names?" Rogers asked. The alien made a gesture like a smile. "We have been watching. Your confrontation with the Empire was impressive. No newly spacefaring race has ever stood up to them so effectively." Inside a pressurized meeting dome that the humans had set up, the 3 sat at a simple table. Kala Nim didn't need a spacesuit. Their species could survive briefly in the vacuum of space. The Veltrax Confederation spans 200 star systems. Kala Nim explained. "We have fought the Zarnian Empire for over 3 centuries. It has been a stalemate until recently." "You're winning now," Clark said. "We saw the Zarnian battle reports." Kala Nim's eyes brightened. "Yes, and your defiance has helped us. Many systems under Imperial control have begun to resist, inspired by Earth's example." The alien placed a small device on the table. It projected a holographic map of the galaxy, with colored areas showing Zarnian and Veltrax territories. "We propose an alliance," Kala Nim said. "Combined, we could end the Empire's expansion forever. We offer technology, protection, and knowledge." Clark studied the map carefully. "What would you expect from Earth in return?" "Your unique approach to warfare, your unpredictability, and bases in your solar system to launch attacks against Imperial outposts." Rogers frowned. "You want to bring your war to our doorstep." "The war is already coming to your doorstep, Admiral," Kala Nim replied. "The Empire will not forget your humiliation of their ships." Clark and Rogers exchanged glances. This was what they had expected. Trading one powerful alien master for another. "Representative Kala Nim," Clark said finally, "we appreciate your offer. Truly. But humanity has just declared its independence. We won't trade one controller for another." The alien tilted its head, clearly surprised. "You refuse our protection. The Empire will send a larger fleet next time. We don't refuse friendship, Clark clarified. We refuse control. Earth will stand as an independent power. We're happy to trade with the Confederation, to share knowledge, even to coordinate defenses. But we won't become anyone's forward base or client state. Kellenin was silent for a long moment. The Veltrax had clearly expected easy agreement from the primitive humans who should be desperate for advanced allies. No species has ever taken such a position between our powers, the alien said finally. You would be alone. Clark smiled. Humans have a long history of charting our own path. To their surprise, Kellenin's eyes glowed brighter, a sign of respect among their people. Perhaps this is why the Empire fears you, the alien said. Very well. Instead of alliance, we offer a treaty of mutual recognition and non-aggression. Limited technology exchange. Open borders for trade. No military bases, no control. On the Zarnian homeworld, a massive palace of blue crystal housed the Empire's leadership. Supreme Overseer Zakol paced the grand strategy room, his 4 eyes fixed on reports from across the galaxy. His blue skin had darkened with stress. The situation worsens daily, reported General Vartok. The Veltrax have taken 3 more systems, and now we have confirmed they've made contact with the humans. Zakol slammed his 3-fingered hand on the table. First, these humans humiliate our diplomatic mission. Then they drive away our ships. Now they conspire with our enemies. The 12 members of the Imperial Council shifted uncomfortably. None wanted to deliver more bad news to the Supreme Overseer. Finally, the Minister of Intelligence spoke. There is worse, Supreme One. 17 worlds on our outer territories have begun resistance movements. They cite the humans as inspiration. Zakol's skin turned almost black with rage. These humans have become a disease in the Empire's body. We must cut it out before it spreads further. He turned to General Vartok. Prepare a full battle fleet. We will crush these humans once and for all. The general hesitated. Supreme One, our main forces are engaged against the Veltrax. Diverting ships could leave our core worlds vulnerable. Then send a diplomatic mission first, Zakol ordered, with our best assassins hidden among them. We will eliminate their leaders and throw their world into chaos before the main attack. 3 weeks later, a large Zarnian diplomatic vessel approached Earth. It transmitted peaceful messages, claiming to bring a new proposal from the Empire. In the Mount Rainier Command Center, Captain Winters studied the incoming ship's scans. It's heavily armed for a diplomatic vessel, he told Clark and Rogers. And there are unusual energy signatures in their shuttle bay. Dr. Miller looked up from her console. I've analyzed their transmission. There are hidden data packets embedded in the signal. They're trying to hack our defense network. Rogers smiled grimly. So much for diplomacy. Clark nodded. Let them land. But we'll meet them on our terms. The Zarnian ship was directed to an isolated landing pad in the Nevada desert. As their shuttle descended, hidden human sensors scanned every inch of the craft and its occupants. In a nearby facility, Dr. Miller watched the data flow in. There are 7 Zarnians on board. But only 4 show up on their manifest. The other 3 have weapons we've never seen before. Rogers turned to her security team. Prepare the countermeasures. The Zarnian delegation stepped off their shuttle, led by a tall figure in ornate robes. I am Diplomatic Overseer Rental, he announced. I bring greetings from Supreme Overseer Zakol himself. Clark welcomed them politely. We're surprised by this visit, Overseer. The last time we spoke, your representative threatened us. Rental made a gesture of dismissal. An unfortunate misunderstanding. The Empire wishes to restart our talks on more equal terms. As they walked toward the meeting facility, Dr. Miller's voice came through a hidden earpiece worn by Clark. The 3 hidden operatives are moving into position. They're preparing to strike. Without showing any reaction, Clark continued the conversation. Tell me, Overseer, what does the Empire offer now that's different from before? Oh, many things, Rental said smoothly. technology, protection, a special status within the Empire. Just then, the three disguised Zarnian assassins made their move. They pulled out weapons and aimed at Clark and Rogers. But before they could fire, the floor beneath them lit up with a strange pattern. The assassins froze in place, their bodies caught in an invisible field. Their weapons fell useless to the floor. Temporal stasis field, Rogers explained to the shocked Zarnian diplomats. One of our new technologies. Your assassins are experiencing time at 1,000th the normal rate. For them, a single second will last about 16 minutes. Rental's skin paled to light blue. There has been some mistake. No mistake, Clark interrupted, his voice hard now. We detected your assassins the moment they boarded your shuttle. We know you came to kill us and then attack our world. On screens around the room, images appeared showing Zarnian battle fleets gathering at the edge of their territory, clearly preparing for the invasion of Earth. Your empire has made a serious miscalculation, Rogers said. You still think we're primitive. You still don't understand what you're facing. Clark stepped closer to Rental. Here is what will happen now. You will return to your homeworld and deliver a message to Supreme Overseer Zakal. Earth is not your enemy unless you make us so. But if you attack, you will face consequences beyond your imagination. Empty threats, Rental said, though his voice wavered. The Empire has conquered hundreds of worlds. 2 years passed since humans walked out of the initial talks with the Zarnian Empire. Earth had changed dramatically. Cities now had shield domes that could activate in seconds. Ships that could travel faster than light were being built in orbiting shipyards. Humanity had expanded to Mars and beyond, establishing their first colonies on distant moons. On the Zarnian homeworld, Supreme Overseer Zakal faced the grim reality of his empire's situation. The Veltrax Confederation had captured 7 key systems. 3 imperial governors had declared independence, and the humans, far from being isolated, had established trade routes with 17 different alien civilizations. Supreme One, General Vartok reported, his skin pale with stress. The Veltrax have broken through our defenses in the Orient sector. 3 more core worlds are threatened. Zakal stared at the galactic map, watching as more systems turned from imperial blue to enemy colors. How has it come to this? The Empire has stood for 700 years. His advisors remained silent. None wanted to state the obvious, that their resources had been wasted on the failed attempts to subjugate Earth, while the Veltrax had grown stronger. Finally, Minister Keldor spoke. Supreme One, we must consider the unthinkable. We must seek help from the humans. Never. Zakal roared, his 4 eyes flashing with anger. We will not beg those primitives. With respect. Keldor continued bravely, they are no longer primitive. Their technology has advanced more in 2 years than most species advance in a century, and their strategic position could stop the Veltrax advance. Zakal paced the crystal chamber, his reflection multiplied in the polished surfaces. The Empire was crumbling around him. His choices were few. Prepare my ship, he finally ordered. I will go to Earth myself. On Earth, Ambassador William Clark had been appointed United Defense Chancellor, overseeing humanity's growing presence in space. Dr. Susan Miller led the new Galactic Science Academy, while Admiral Patricia Rogers commanded Earth's defense fleet. Captain George Winters had become General Winters, training officers from a dozen human colonies. When sensors detected a massive Zarnian vessel approaching Earth, the defense systems automatically activated. But the ship made no aggressive moves. They're broadcasting on all frequencies, reported a young officer at the command center. It's Supreme Overseer Zakal himself. He's requesting permission to land and meet with Chancellor Clark. Clark raised an eyebrow in surprise. The supreme leader of the Empire, coming to us? How times have changed. The meeting was arranged in Washington, D.C., in the Grand Hall of the new Planetary Union building. Human security forces lined the walls. Media from Earth and a dozen alien worlds transmitted the historic event. Zakal entered with only 2 advisors, a stark contrast to the usual Imperial entourage. His once bright blue skin had dulled with age and worry. "Chancellor Clark," the Zarnian leader said, forcing the words out, "I come to discuss matters of mutual concern." Clark nodded politely. "Supreme Overseer Zakal, Earth welcomes you." The two leaders sat at a round table, equal in position, another break from Imperial protocol, which would normally place the Supreme Overseer on an elevated throne. "The situation in the galaxy has become complicated," Zakal began. "You mean your war with the Veltrax is going badly," Clark said directly, "and systems are breaking away from Imperial control." Zakal's upper eyes narrowed. "You are well informed." "We make it our business to understand galactic politics," Clark replied, "especially when they might affect Earth." After a moment of tense silence, Zakal spoke again. "The Empire proposes an alliance with Earth. We would recognize your full independence and sovereignty. We would share advanced technologies. In return, we ask for your assistance in stabilizing the border with the Veltrax Confederation." Clark kept his expression neutral, though inside he felt a surge of satisfaction. "2 years ago, your empire tried to make us servants. Now you propose partnership." "Circumstances change," Zakal said stiffly. "Indeed they do," Clark agreed. He looked at Dr. Miller and General Winters, who sat nearby. Both gave slight nods. "Earth is willing to negotiate a treaty with the Zarnian Empire," Clark said, "but not an alliance. We will help establish a buffer zone between your territories and the Veltrax. We will trade fairly with both civilizations, but we will not fight your wars."